朋友，所有的 Dota 的玩家朋友
So
们，
we're
大家
here
中午好。
for the opening match of day 2 as BBC is welcoming, of course, our Chinese viewers. I can't really translate it, unfortunately.
Come on, Sheeps. You've been here for, what, 3 days?
Yeah, I should be able to. I mean, he's welcome everybody. Thank you all for being here, and we're gonna have a great time. And we're here working toward. I heard him say TI, so we're gonna try to work that in.
Right.
That's about all it goes. But first series of the day is gonna be Mineski versus Kinguin, and I find that a very interesting matchup. Cap, as you were saying already earlier, those are two of the teams that you're really looking to see, like, how good are they actually? Because Mineski started the season quite strong. They actually have quite a decent amount of point in there for the pro season, 270, which okay is not amazing, but they did okay.
I've heard people saying good things about Mineski. I haven't seen them play, I'll be honest, but or Kinguin. So I'm intrigued to see what they're all about. Do they have a particular style, either of these teams, or?
Okay, so I think Kinguin is, as we're opening with Kinguin.
Here they come.
Man, I am so good at these segues.
You're so good today.
Yeah.
You're so good.
This is why they put me on the panel.
Of course.
Kinguin, they're great team fighters. I think they have a very strong understanding of win conditions. I think there are a lot of different concepts in Dota, but by far the biggest one for Kinguin is their win condition, and specifically their win condition hero, which is usually played by Nisha. They're very good at being able to protect that. I think that is what makes them probably one of the better tier 2 teams in this patch right now. Yeah. I personally don't think that they're going to be able to go on past that level, but I think they are one of the more dominant teams here in this tier 2 patch. I would definitely bet I would take them against Mineski in this matchup here.
Wow. Well, speaking of Mineski, I believe we're
Let's see
about
if BBC can cue them on stage for us. Team Mineski.
Yeah.
You're learning from me, Ted.
Yep, I learned everything from you, Cap.
Mineski, meanwhile, I think they're a much stronger team when they're focusing on laning phase. I think one of the big things is the combination of Ice, Sterile, and Jabs. I think their synergy is actually what makes Mineski what they are. I would say that this is where most of your focus is on the team, is on their 3 and 4 position, being able to win their lanes and start snowballing from there. So I think certain key heroes to look out for are the junglers, Chen and Enchantress, which both can be played by Jabs and Ice as core or support, which I think is by far the most interesting draft twist that this team has over every other team, I think, in the meta. No one else runs Chen and Enchantress like they do.
Ice's hair is looking fantastic.
It's longer than mine.
It's really long.
Yeah, and it's shiny. You gotta ask him what shampoo he's using. First series, I find these two teams. These two teams actually played fairly recently.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they had a tie in the group stages of the Perfect World Masters.
Okay.
And that was actually a tournament where Kinguin did fairly okay. They tied with Mineski. They tied with Newbie. They tied with LGD. And they lost against. Actually, no, they didn't lose. They won against Team Secret. They 2-0 Team Secret.
Yeah. Those are good results.
Those are great results.
That was also Team Secret with CTY though.
True.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
So that is a small little
asterisk
to that. Yeah, a little asterisk. Just like any win, Newbie's win versus Secret as well is another asterisk because of missing Fada. Man, Secret is
everybody is dropping out.
Good run of it. They would actually be so much higher in DPC points because the thing is that everyone kind of agrees right now that Team Secret is probably the most dominant team right now, but they just keep on missing out on tournaments. Like they missed out on Perfect World.
It's unlucky.
So everyone's just everyone's like, oh, Liquid's the top team, Newbie's the top team. Right. The reality is, behind the scenes, Secret is actually the one who's doing the most.
It's a bit like when a team in the NFL gets their star player injured in week 1.
Yeah.
And you think, well, they'd be #1 if it wasn't for XYZ.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of like that. So Kinguin are from Poland, right? Polish lads, is that right?
Yep,
yes.
That's right.
That's surely the only Polish Dota team I've never heard of one. So because I know they're all about CS:GO and other games.
They're like Adfinum.
Yeah.
You know, they were like the Greek boys.
Yeah.
These are the Polish boys.
Nice.
Both teams have been together for a really long time.
Yeah, that's good.
So they have a very similar storyline in that regard. But Kinguin has not seen the same kind of success that Adfinum has just yet, being able to make a stellar run through a tournament. Maybe this is that tournament.
Maybe.
It could be. Well, Mineski is a tough opponent, though. They came second last season as well. They only dropped to Liquid at that point, and that was really the start of Mineski's basically run through the Dota Pro circuit. They did very well. They came first, the tournament that they had the week after that in the PGL Open, and after that, I kind of feel like they kind of dropped off. They didn't show as much dominance as they did before that.
It's always the question in your mind when you first out of the season, those first couple of tournaments, you see a team that you don't expect to do like as well as they did. It's always the question in your mind, is it just because we're starting the season and the teams haven't really gotten into things? And it does appear to be kind of that for Mineski, where they definitely did start off very strong. They fell off as soon as other teams really started making their way up the ladder sort of deal. So Mineski is still a good team, though. There's no question about that. Mineski is still like very solid in the Tier 2 area. Whether or not they can reclaim what they once were in that regard, whether they can find something special. Because right now, what I see it is that Mineski is like winning the laning phase, and they'll win games off of that, off of jabs and ice, ice, ice. But past that, I don't see a whole lot of depth to the team. Meanwhile, Kinguin, I look at Kinguin and I look at a team that functions very well around each other.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's about having, like you said, they've been together a long time. That's surely a big part of that. So these are the Kinguin lads.
Yes.
What is a Kinguin?
It's a penguin who is a king.
A king penguin.
I mean, he's wearing a crown.
Is it like a sponsorship thing?
It is a sponsorship.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
They were bigger in like CS:GO.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could tell you the type of thing that they are, but I can't. I don't think I should say that because it's not our sponsor.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
But I will explain it off camera.
Okay. I thought it was a thing they'd made up.
No. It's actually it's a big sponsor too.
Oh, okay.
They are.
Nisha,
pretty solid
star
one.
player right there.
Okay, Nisha's the star player to look out for.
Yep.
And that's your captain. Alisash has been leading the team for a really long time now. I got a chance to meet him all the way back in the 3rd season of the defense, where we had like a small LAN final. And they were kind of the surprise team who made it through and actually did pretty well for themselves. I think they took 3rd over like mouse sports or something like that.
Good guy?
Driven is what I would say.
A driven guy.
I would say that would be the thing that I would use to describe him. He just seems like kind of serious, really wants to do this, really wants to make things work.
Would you say that it's fair to describe these guys as the Polish complexity? They're like a bunch of guys that have been together a long time.
Yeah.
The captain's kind of driven.
Yeah, I would kind of say that, especially since the Complexity and Kinguin they're in a similar area in their regions, and they've scrimmed against each other, and they know each other relatively well. I see them kind of take like half shots at each other back and forth, just kind of like friendly banter in a way. I do think they are very similar in that regard.
So we've seen him in a couple of tournaments, but not in all of them, and they have kind of flown under the radar, I think, for a lot of fans out there. Because why aren't they at every tournament? Like, what's their weakness?
Because Europe is difficult,
okay.
I think is the biggest thing. Because Kinguin, the tournaments they were at were ones where they had to beat a really strong team. I think Perfect World, they had to beat Penta, because for some reason Penta beat OG or something like that.
Yeah, they lost the Katowice qualifiers. They lost against Penta as well. It seems like kind of their nemesis, perhaps.
So this is a team that like early on they were losing to like Secret, OG. Like Secret was getting most of the qualifiers every time. But Kinguin did sneak through a couple of those qualifiers. I think that repeatedly facing up against Secret.
Yeah, that's tough. But that would also, you'd think, would make you better, right?
Yes,
yeah, it would make you better, for sure. Damn, that's tough, though. They should go the infamous qualifying route and just have the 2 teams above and not be able to make it. I think that's the best way I'd go for it.
I think their hope is to have like Secret and OG to be so good that they're going to get invited all the time.
Yeah.
So that Kinguin can actually win the qualifiers, because they're a little bit too fresh, too young to get the invites so far. But they are going up against Mineski. And Mineski, I mean, those are all names. As young as Kinguin is, Mineski's been around for a while, and every single one of their players has been around for a while. I mean,
I mean, the players are like familiar to everybody, surely, but
I mean, that's one of the OGs right there, Mushi.
Yep.
Mushi has been around, that is for sure.
I remember there was a video that I did with Thorin where he talked about like it was a video concept. It was like the Mount Rushmore of blank, right? And
Mount Rushmore of Dota, and I thought it was an interesting thing because I put Mushi as one of my faces of Dota because he is probably the best representative from Southeast Asia.
Absolutely.
He's been around forever, right? He's like on burning levels. But the beautiful thing about Mushi is that I feel like that he's never dropped off entirely, right? Like I definitely felt like burning hit a very big slump at some point in time, but I've never felt like Mushi hit that same kind of slump. He is sometimes gone down a little bit, and he hasn't remained a top dog, but he's always remained in that sort of top 3 area. And I do think Mineski is going to become a stronger team again as they're seeing really tough competition within Southeast Asia, TNC doing a lot better. And
I would personally like to see Ice's face up there as well, just because he's such a funny guy.
Yeah.
And he's such a personality in Dota. But I mean, yeah, I think you'd put Mushi up there for sure. Well, you have Mushi, probably Puppy and Kuroni.
My names were Mushi, Xiaowei, Puppy, Fear.
Yeah.
And
Dendy?
I was going to say, wouldn't you put Dendy in there as well? If you're talking about the face of Dota.
He is one of the faces of Dota for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But for me,
Gabe
it's like,
Newell.
yeah, but that's from, for me, it's from like a professional aspect. And I don't view Dendy's impact in professional Dota to be nearly as high as Puppy or Xiaowei or
I think
any of those
in terms
others.
of professional Dota, in terms of people watching it, Dendy definitely brought in a lot of viewers, though.
I think that everybody's got their own Mount Rushmore, is what
True,
Matt's
this is
saying.
true.
And his is indefensible, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, for me, it's like I view captains as being incredibly important in Dota.
Yeah,
it's
that's
a
a good
rare
point.
role for people to take on. It's a very difficult role. So for the most part, like all the people that I chose were captains of some sort. Even Fear was like sort of a semi-captain in many ways, right? So.
You're not going to put Peter up there?
I did not put Peter up there, no, because I tried to keep it pretty spread out, and I felt Fear, like, I don't think it's.
Sure.
You can't really argue with Fear's like one of the greatest players of all time.
Absolutely, the legend.
Yeah.
Old Man Fear.
Yeah.
Old Man Fear.
So.
Why is it not Old Man Mushi? He's been around just as long.
I don't know.
I think.
It would seem impolite, I think. I don't mind calling Fear Old Man Fear, 'cause, you know. It's
but
funny.
for Mushi, it would be impolite. All right.
Coming from someone that's probably like 15 years older than him, it's even funnier when I call him Old Man Fear.
Yeah, and I think even when he was Old Man Fear, like the first time, he was
like
still
24,
super young, yes.
The drop.
But we have got some Dota to go through, so we're going to find out how much these teams value the patch notes. For example, Tiny, we've seen a lot of Tiny out there. Tiny has been nerfed a little bit.
What happened to Tiny?
Tiny got the toss range, or toss cooldown.
8 to 11, right? 8 to 11 cooldown?
Yes, cooldown, that's the one.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't think it changes. I don't think there is a single patch note that I saw that said to me, this changes the hero and his value in the game.
This is interesting. We were talking about whether the pros would look at a very slight change and say, all right, that actually changes the lane enough that it's now a toss-up between 2 heroes. Instead of like, we've got to get SF, for instance, because the change to Necromastery meant you can have less souls max at level 1, but people were saying that would change whether or not you can take Rays at 2 and 3, which was an interesting change.
I think none of those changes can really be theory crafted from a professional point of view. I think all of them have to be experienced. So I think every single one of them is going to be, initially you're still going to value the hero the same because you don't feel it changes that much.
Right.
But maybe over time you think, okay, maybe this hero has a little less value.
What amazes me is when a small change like that has an actual statistical impact on the win rate of a hero. It looks like a small change, all of a sudden there's like a 5% dip in their win rate. It's pretty nutty.
So Kinguin open up. I think one of the biggest things is that Kinguin have to guard against the laning phase presence of Mineski and the potential Chenin Enchantress. So usually I want to have like really strong stabilizing supports as well as self-sustainable cores that don't need a whole lot of babysitting. So a lot of the drafts that I saw versus Kinguin, like Navi drafted, where they had like Phantom Lancer and DK as cores, where they were very good at being able to deal with pressure. So DK.
Well, that's a mid lane secured.
Sure.
But whoever goes up against mid is going to get double damage reduction.
Yeah.
From the Flame Breath and from Enfeeble. So you're never going to get a last hit.
well, you said earlier, Cap, that you feel like Kinguin puts a lot of emphasis on having, giving Nisha a good game.
Yeah.
I mean, he is the Dragon Knight player, right?
Yeah.
So they're already securing him a good lane.
Maybe. It's it's like the way I look at it is that Kinguin recognized the hero that kind of wins them the game, and they protect that accordingly. And I would say maybe 8 times out of 10, it's Nisha's player, Nisha's hero. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean here that this lineup is going to revolve around the Dragon Knight. We may have like a better carry given to exotic tier that they want to be able to protect. The interesting thing, Mineski, the Night Stalker pickup is not necessarily a 4 position. They've run it in the 3 position before for Ice Ice Ice. So there isn't too much lockdown on what this is. Who ran Night Stalker mid?
There was someone that ran Night Stalker mid.
Cinderin back in...
but recently, because I suddenly started seeing it in my pubs, and I was like, all right, somebody's seen someone.
Who did this?
Like, it's always the way. Day after a tournament, everybody's running the same shit that would ever won in the final, and it's terrible on them.
Miracle in pubs is obsessed with Night Stalker for whatever reason. He was experimenting with building like Battle Fury on the hero. He was running it mid a lot. I don't know, he just really likes it. It's pretty funny to see as like an actual 1 or 2 position because it's like you get like level 12 and you're like 2,500 HP or something.
It's insane.
It's insane. You're so tanky. And you do have some scaling abilities as well. I think level 20 is maybe a strength talent. Level 25 is a huge increase to your attack speed.
I played against a Night Stalker that did that and went heart and had like a bajillion hit points, and it was just impossible to kill. We lost. We lost really hard.
So Mineski respond here with a really great choice. I really like this from Jabs because the Death Prophet, I think, matches up really well against the Dragon Knight. Not just laning phase, but also the ability to be able to pressure towers. Both of them are going to stand in that mid lane, and if either one of them leaves, they're going to try and take that mid tower. It's also a hero that does not need to CS off of right-clicking all the time.
Yeah.
So if you're...
All the minus damage doesn't matter.
All the shenanigans.
Like, they had to pick someone like that. I kind of thought someone might pick Lina because she got that gigantic buff.
the
very minor change
yeah.
Gigantic buff.
It's changes like that you think, I wonder if that's actually going to have any effect on her pick rate. I mean, but this is the nature of the way they do in the patches now. It's like tiny changes. In 2 weeks' time, they'll give her a new spell that's OP.
It's going to become a thing where people start adding up the buffs.
Yeah.
Or nerfs to a hero, and eventually it tips over. It always happened that way, but now it can happen a lot faster.
Yeah. I mean, I do think it's a positive change. We don't need to wait months and months for a patch. It does mean you're stuck with something that's kind of unbalanced. Like, they're obviously always trying to make the game more and more and more and more balanced.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense to do it with tiny incremental changes.
On the other side, though, patches were always a really big, like, event, right?
You still have your big patch. You still have your big patch. They're just going to do these occasional ones. I don't like having to wait and wait and wait. I like the fact that it's nice, incremental, steady change. That's how you tweak something. I just want it now.
And I think, you know, now every time there should be, or people are expecting a big patch, you don't have a full page of forum filled with where's the patch.
Yeah, yeah.
Now everybody knows when, and obviously you're still going to have those posts on the Thursdays.
You want a patch? I'm going to give you one every 2 weeks.
Yes.
I think the other changes we haven't spoken about, obviously doesn't affect the pro scene as much, is the changes to, Tidehunter.
6 months ban!
The 6-month ban is a big one, but I also think the changes there are a lot of changes, a lot of little quality of life changes to the game in general, which I think are really nice.
Yeah. The 6 months ban, though.
No, that's crazy.
Yeah, shout out to everybody posting on Reddit that they got 6 months ban.
Yep.
And then people finding out why.
You absolutely deserve it, you human pieces of garbage. Tidehunter, great pickup versus a Lycan. They need something to be able to match up against Lycan. Night Stalker core does not work against very tanky cores like Dragon Knight and Lycan. It also gives them a big increase in their teamfight power and everything. They are super cooldown dependent though. So I think they need a safe lane hero that comes online pretty fast and is not very cooldown dependent.
Gyrocopter.
Gyro, I was going to say gyro.
Yeah.
A gyrocopter is kind of everyone's like first go-to. I personally do not like gyrocopter versus Lycan. We obviously had some of the Chinese teams who viewed that gyrocopter was fine versus Lycan. But the other thing is I don't like it versus Dragon Knight because I think Dragon Knight is just too tanky.
Yeah, it's just going to beat him up.
Gyro. So more like a okay, that's banned.
Were you going to say Wraith King?
No, Razor. I was going to say Razor.
Razor's banned out, though.
Yeah.
You can't have that anymore. You said earlier Kinguin likes a team fight. They already now know that they're going to go up against a team that already has a lot of team fight in there. They need something more. Do you feel like they're going to try to go for, you know, one of their big team fight ults themselves? Or you rather see them going for something with a low cooldown so they can fight around those long cooldowns of Mineski?
I would like to see them get
Tusk?
I was going to say I wouldn't mind seeing Sniper picked up for Mineski because 2 melee cores. He can stay behind the Tide and the Night Stalker. Helps defending his high ground. That's the problem is now Lycan can just run at him. And Tusk can just snowball in. Yeah, he'll get in there. But I think in terms of high ground defending, Sniper is amazing. But probably
Tusk
not
got
now.
changed, by the way.
But it's like melee, melee, melee.
So for me, this is a bit of a test for Kinguin and whether or not they shake off some of their older infatuations. They really like Puck.
Yeah.
Really, really badly. And it could fit into this lineup here. It gives them a bit of burst damage versus Death Prophet. It gives you a bit of initiation, but I think it would be a bad choice.
Because it would be an off-lane Puck.
Yeah. They can run 2, 3, or 4 position Puck, I believe.
All right.
What are they going for here? Something that...
Let's see what their most big
Something that would do well in lane, but they don't know what the carry's going to be.
So we're missing
You've got to pick a generic off-laner.
We're missing a Patos hero, right? He's played a lot of Brewmaster. He's played a lot of Tidehunter as well, but he's already picked up. He's played a lot of Doom, Omni Knight, and Trantor's Magnus.
Doom would be good.
Doom against either the
DP
Tide or
would be
Death
good.
Prophet is acceptable. Yeah. If you don't want an initiator, you can get like an Abaddon, just to be able to help the sustain. Deals with the Tidehunter Ravage pretty well. You just kind of like form this 5-man ball.
It's going to be
Abaddon.
Abaddon.
Nice call indeed. Can at least get rid of the silence.
There's not too much control. Maybe a Weaver is okay. Your biggest problem is Dragon Knight.
Yeah.
Maybe like a Life Stealer or something, but they don't have a carrier for him, so maybe not that. Jug, there's 2 tanky heroes. Void is probably too cooldown dependent.
Yeah, they don't want to double down on the cooldowns.
Phantom Lancer is
not banned.
Not
Phantom Lancer is available.
great.
Wouldn't be. I don't think it'd be terrible. Would need a bit of time though. Would need a bit of time, but he would be decent. I kind of think they want something that can go out and push the way Lycan can.
Phantom Lancer, by the way,
because
we're looking for a Mushi hero, right? Phantom Lancer is a hero he's undefeated on
the
last 3 months, 5 games played.
What about Anti-Mage? Could you pick Anti-Mage?
No.
Why not?
Heroes are too hard
greedy?
to kill, too tanky.
He doesn't want to kill.
You want an assassin, right? Like when you pick up Anti-Mage, you want to be able to like jump, pop my manta, cha-cha-cha, ultimate, kill.
Or just split
But you can't really do that to any of these heroes.
Timbersaw.
Okay. I was just thinking of a hero that wouldn't give a damn about fighting and would just go off and split push the whole time.
But I do think like your lineup is already dependent on team fighting.
Yeah, true.
So you need to kind of match them. I really like this Timbersaw. It's not a hero that I saw coming at all.
No.
But it fits, right? Because it matches up well for the laning phase. Like you don't care about
heroes as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't care about any of these heroes. You do really well. It is no cooldowns.
Yep.
Right, so you can constantly fight. I think that's very important. It's a hero that is going to be able to defend very well against Kinguin's pushes. I think it was a great pickup.
All right, well, let's find out who's going to take that first game, and it's over to our commentary team of Luminous and ODPixel.
Thanks very much, Steve. And indeed, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is game 1 of the first series of day 2 of StarLadder. I'm ODPixel, I'm over Lumi. We've got Kinguin versus Mineski. We've just seen the 2 lineups, Lumi. Anything that you're sort of liking out of these 2 sides? Anything that sort of pops out as you as being very strong in this draft?
I really like the Tide and the Timber final pick. Is my mic close enough? We're good?
Getting nice and close, Lumi.
I don't think they have an answer to the Timber. I feel like he's going to just be able to chain around. There's 3 strength heroes, all of them being core,
There's
right?
4, isn't there?
Well, all the cores are strength. I don't know if the support. Tusk? Yeah,
Tusk, yeah.
4 strength melee.
No nuke damage, really.
I mean, they have the stun from Dragon Knight. That's it.
Sure. Yeah, it's just not surely enough to deal with this.
You can technically kill him with Lycan. You could, you know, there's enough right-click damage from Lycan to bring him down, but as long as he gets away from that, I think he's absolutely fine. Yep. So I really like the pick. Yeah, it
definitely could be a good Timber game. Kinguin, obviously, they do have the Abaddon answer to the Tide Hunter, which is very nice. You know, you get caught in the Ravage, instantly you're going to be able to take yourself and the teammate out with the popping the borrowed time and the Aphotic Shield. So something that Mineski will have to be aware of in these team fights when starting to try and commit with the Ravage.
Actually, not only that. So Abaddon will cleanse the stun off of himself. Yeah. And then he's going to shield the Tusk. And then the Tusk is going to snowball someone else.
There you go, like
So the domino effect, man.
You could save the whole team in effect, absolutely, yeah. If the Tusk is able to get a good roll with the snowball and pick the teammates up, that is true. So we'll be looking out for that sort of coordination from Kinguin to outplay any sort of attempt Mineski look to make with the Ravage. It looks like we will just have a slight pause here, ladies and gentlemen, as we are just correcting some sound issues. Vlad the man on the stage there.
Where's Winter?
That is the question. No sign of him at the moment on the thing. And on Kinguin as well. I'm trying to think, did Kinguin have a coach? Did we see a coach with them when they were drafting?
No, I don't think we did.
I think they were just, the lads were doing it themselves. I'm excited to see this matchup. I mean, between these two teams, Lumi, I mean, coming into it, is there a side you would favor just down to sort of the players? I guess probably Mineski, the team that's more well-known to the viewers. And Kinguin, these are players that have been around for a while, but recently they've sort of been making their name for themselves, qualifying for these lands and getting a chance to show up against some of the bigger teams.
Yeah, Kinguin is a team that's often underestimated when they're coming to these events because they don't, people haven't really heard of them. They don't have the big names. And of course, Mineski has the names, but they haven't really been performing well. So to me, this is a somewhat underpowered Mineski and a very underrated Kinguin. I think this is going to be the closest set we've seen so far.
Absolutely, yeah. Compared to some of yesterday's games, there's no doubt about it. These two teams certainly could have an edge on one another. As we get ourselves stuck into the action here as the game begins and gets underway. Mineski versus Kinguin. See who can come out on top. And talking about on top, looks like that's going to be the area of focus for the start, as both teams bringing up heavy numbers here. Hard for each side really to get stuck in for a first blood attempt, as it looks like both teams will simply keep to themselves here and unlikely to run into one another. Mineski actually making the line to be drawn to head down and contest that bottom rune, as it seems, as they do realize that there's many heroes from Kinguin up top.
Laning-wise, I think Mineski is going to have a pretty decent edge, at least on the bottom lane, like Ty versus the Lycan. Lycan should get decent farm. At the same time, Ty is going to get absolute free farm, and he wouldn't really need to worry about getting killed by anything. And then the mid lane for Mushi, I think that's going to be the tough lane for Mineski. With the Bane coming in, it's going to be relatively rough. And then the safe lane for Mineski, that should be a pretty good one too. Timbersaw, I don't think he'll get stopped by Abaddon, so overall, I'm seeing Mineski able to win these lanes 2 out of 3. The problem is that because they have heroes like Tide and Timber, when you win the lane, you don't necessarily do a lot with it. Like when you win the lane, you just farm. Like you don't really, like, let's say, snowball to control. You don't really, take 3 towers or anything like that. But we're going to see a level 1 smoke gank here.
Let's see what Jabs and Ninja Boogie can get done with this. As, at the moment, this is the perfect lane to move to. It is just the Lycan on his own. Exotic Deer totally on his own, expecting almost certainly this 1v1 to occur, but not for this sort of early smoke rotation to come in, and we'll see if they can catch him off guard. As he is playing careful, Exotic Deer. He's keeping himself back, and they'll still try and dive him. No, they're going to be put off. So good positioning there from the Lycan. Exotic Deer realizes there's supports off the map, plays it safe, and will avoid that gank.
Yeah, level 1 ganks into Tide's lane has actually been done a lot because Tide's level 1 Gush is actually very powerful. I think it does, like, I want to say 130 damage at 1.
Yeah, and a good slow as well.
Yeah, for only 90 mana, so
mid lane. See Mushi trying going onto Lisash there, but will be fine. Nisha wards them off with Breathe Fire. It's Jabs and Mushi unable to get away with the dive. CS-wise in the mid lane, 6 for 3 on Nisha off these first few waves, 4 for 0 on Mushi. So slight edge here to the DK. Nisha doing a good job in this matchup, but did of course have that backup at the Bane. Jabs coming into the lane to help out Mushi a little later than Lishash did.
Even though Mushi got enfeebled, the fact that he's got 4 creep kills is actually pretty impressive. Make that 5.
Yeah, still managing to make do with that 35 right click that he's reduced down to. Jabs it. Is he going to get snowballed across by Katsuo as Lisash and Katsuo look to give him the rundown. Good sharp block as well. In fact,
nice.
Lisash getting into position will set up for Katsuo to pick up first blood for Kinguin. Nice movement there from Katsuo coming down from the top lane and catching poor old Jabs off guard.
By the way, we are playing on the new patch. That's why when the snowball came in, we saw there's a little icon on top.
It's a nice icon. Yeah. I like it. It's very, very fancy. Very
also,
fancy. Good job.
Courier going to get sniped.
Oh.
Wait, canceling that auto attack.
He's getting it with that haste rune.
So one of the other new patch thing is that I think if you press Alt, you'll see everyone's TP.
That's a nice addition. I like that. It's going to be very good in pubs now, because now you can flame your supports if they don't TP to save you, because you know that they had it.
Yeah, I see.
You can check it.
Well,
so
here's
I
the thing.
see it. You got a TP, where are you?
Does it actually show if you don't even have a teleport scroll, though?
It does. I think it shows if you don't. See, if it's blacked out, that means you don't have it.
Well, in my pubs, it's all going to be blacked out.
No one's got the TP scroll.
It's not going to be a cooldown thing. It's just going to be they just don't have it.
And it shows you the cooldowns as well. Very advanced stuff here. Dota 2 in 2018.
We have the technology, yeah.
We do. It's stepping up. Mid lane. Quick grab from Jabs. Just trying to disrupt the CS of Nisha. But he's still doing a cracking job. 16 for 4 against the 11 for 2. Still keeping that edge here in what has turned into a bit more of a 1v1 with Lisash moving around. Top lane, how are we seeing on Patos? Patos, 19 for 1 on the Abaddon, 16 for 2. So this lane a bit of a wash. Looks like both for the cores getting pretty much free farm here.
Yeah.
Neither in threat of going down.
I'm actually really curious what kind of item the Abaddon will end up going. Normally when your team needs a little bit of damage, the Midas into Radiance is a pretty good build for Abaddon, but if you look at his teammates, like he's got the Lycan, he's got Dragon Eye, so damage shouldn't be an issue. At the same time, he's getting really good farm, so I feel like he can go for a farming build if he wants.
I think so far, looking at the sort of the laning for the cores, the only one sort of suffering is the Lycan down bottom, but at the same time, Ice, he's not that far ahead. He's got a few more denies, but 15 last hits against the 12. Not too much of a difference down here between the two of them. So looks like both are doing a good job, but just trying to keep each other on their toes. Of course, with the extra denies, Ice does have a slight level advantage in these early days. Up top, Patos getting gone on. There's rotation coming in from Jabs and Ninja Boogie. Patos looking to be in a lot of trouble. We'll get the Aphotic Shield out. Don't know if that'll be quite enough. Again, this Whirling Death just taking down that base strength attribute of the Abaddon, making it that little easier to squash him in the lane.
So I do want to talk about that lane matchup a bit. Normally you say, look, there's a melee hero up against Timbersaw. Timbersaw should have the big advantage there, but you could Aphotic Shield off of that Whirling Death debuff. So you don't actually take that much damage from the nuke. But what ends up happening is that he has mana issues. And without the Soul Ring, which Patos does not have right now, then he really can't lane effectively until
look at this. Look how aggressive they're getting up top. As soon as he's back into the lane after they've killed him once, Jabs and Ninja Boogie are there ready to try and dive him again, bursting him down. And really being able to punish that Abaddon with no sort of backup coming in from the rest of Kinguin. As he's got to be careful, and we'll see where he does decide to head out next. He does now have the Bane there. So with the backup of Lisash, he'll feel a little safer coming into this top lane. But he's got to take the walk of shame after TPing back up before his death the last time round. So more space for Moon and Jabs to put a bit of pressure onto this tower and get Moon close to that level 6 where his killing potential gets even greater on the Timbersaw.
This is actually a very important gank. Not only did they kill Patos twice, they've done it with the Siege Wave. And Moon was basically tanking the tower for a while with his reactive armor, level 3 I believe. So that siege unit will be able to do at least like half the tower's HP. They won't get the tower off of it, but still like really good residual damage off of the 2 ganks.
Bottom lane, Ice, still with the slight edge as he is managing to get a fair few denies. 24 for 12 against the 22 for 3. So there's now that level 6 ready on Ice, and they're looking to dive onto Exotic Deer with the help of Ninja Boogie coming around. And Exotic Deer in a lot of trouble. No TP rotation coming through from the side of Kinguin as they will let their Lycan die. Exotic Deer to fall, and Ninja Boogie really, to be fair, the one to talk about. As he's the one that's been kicking off these rotations. This first night time, coming into the top lane twice, coming into the bottom lane, he's getting a lot of good action going the way of Mineski.
that bottom gank looked like pretty easy setup, but if you look at that play again, basically Night Stalker started running bottom before Tai was even level 6. So they coordinate that gank, knowing that Tai hits level 6 as soon as Ninja Boogie hits there. So the way I'm looking at this game is that Mineski is really outplaying Kinguin, and they're hitting all their proper timing. And there was no TP support from Kinguin because there is Ravage, right? You TP in there, not only do you not save Lycan, you also lose your secondary hero. So Mineski is just playing really well.
Yeah, we'll see here Kinguin aware of the ward being dropped, as they do have that ward on the high ground, spotting out Ninja Boogie's movements up and down. So they've got some good info on the plays being attempted for by Mineski. And in fact, Kinguin, they're going to be the ones to try and find an opening. They go straight in across onto the Rubik, catching out Jabs as he just stand underneath their own vision. So Kinguin getting the kill and protecting this mid lane. Nisha, top CS at the moment in the game, having a very solid time on the DK, and we'll see how Kinguin can sort of transition this into some early pushes. They have got this DK Lycan Abaddon push, which is incredibly potent. Mineski, they have the Exorcism on the Death Prophet, but other than that, they are going to be taking towers very quickly. They have to have the DP ult to push.
Tai Hunter might be in a little trouble, but here comes that Ice time. Might actually just die here, though.
He has got what? He's got the 6-1 charges. He's got one more Anchor Smash. He's making them work for it, but the pure damage of Brain Saps there from LD Sash. So Kinguin will claim the kill on Tide. Put an end to Ice's tomfoolery down on that bottom lane.
So a lot of the conversation, at least on the panel, has been about 5-manning, but Mineski's got one of the best anti-5-man hero, which is the Tai Hunter, right? You try to push into the tower, Tai just walks in front of it. There's not much you can do. You can't really kill the Tai, not even with Fiend's Grip. So.
No, absolutely not. And sure, you may have ways to deal with the Ravage, but you're still going to be standing next to a Tide that's going to get out multiple Anchor Smashes, Gushes, and slowly sort of whittling your team down. Bottom lane, Ninja Boogie just coming in to try and find some XP, as Exotic Deer continues to push this one out. So we can see DK top net worth at the moment, but straight behind him, Nisha, are the 3 cores of Mineski. So Mineski still do have that 3k gold lead 9 minutes in. Ice and Jabs with the smoke movement round, but it was scanned out.
Yes,
Kinguin are aware of this. Let's see if they can do anything about it. LD Sash looks like he's going to be one to tank this. They move straight in onto the Bane, but the rest of Kinguin will get out of there. Exorcism popped by Mushi, so Mineski will have a good shot at taking down this mid lane tier 1 tower, which we have seen be so important in games recently. This early control around the middle lane has led to a lot of victories. I'm not quite sure on the exact statistic, but taking that first tier 1 mid has been a very, very common occurrence in victorious teams.
Yeah. So one of the conversation on the panel was saying that Mineski's cooldown are very long, and indeed they are, with the Ravage, with the Exorcism. And Mineski came with the heroes intending to use all their ultimates if they had to, but because they still retained the Tai ultimate, then Mineski could still make aggressive play or defend their tower, whatever the case would be. So right now, even though Mineski's got the quote-unquote the long cooldown ultimates, I feel like they're playing the map very well, and I think they're ahead because of it.
Free pick off for Nisha in the mid lane as they find out Jabs and Katsul, and did have to put the Elder Dragon form for it. We'll see if he's able to get some pressure onto that tier 1 tower with that, as he does start to push. Ninja Boogie moving around under the cover of Invis. See where he looks to head for. They are going to bring the Rubik in as well. Maybe seeing if they can catch out Nisha. Nisha trying to go over the TP out, but Ninja Boogie is going to be there, revealing himself from the Invis rune, cancelling the TP with a Void. So Nisha's going to be kept mid. Nisha tries to turn top lane. Look at that Ravage, though, from Ice, catching out 3. He'll pay with his life. Moon able to finish off the Tusk. We'll see if Moon can get anything more out of this as he continues to chase mid lane as well. Mushi diving towers, looking for Nisha. Turns around with the Dragon Tail, holds back the Death Prophet. Exotic Deer coming in from the top with this shapeshift, looking for Ninja Boogie. Will find the Night Stalker. We'll see if he can get anything more out of this. He's looking towards Mushi. It's a hard kill for him to get on his own, and he does need backup. Bane is around. Mushi level 9 will back away. 20 seconds until the Exorcism is back there for Mushi.
Very good play by Kinguin. They got the Ravage out. It was a 1-for-1 trade, but you basically made them waste Ravage for a kill, essentially. And then they also got a pick off in the mid lane while saving the Dragon Knight. So there is a long window of opportunity here for Kinguin to actually make something happen.
He's got 8 seconds into that borrowed time, and that's going to be 8 seconds too long as Mineski catching out the offlaner. Anisha can push in, but it will be a slow one. Yep. Dragon Form not quite back. We'll have it in 15 seconds. We'll see if he's able to stick his ground here in the mid lane and commit with it. And as you say, you know, Mineski without that Ravage, a little harder for them to hold the defenses on these early tower pushes. But looks like they'll try. She's coming in, ready to commit for this one. The Exorcism is already out. The shard, very nice. I mean, absolutely perfect there from Katso.
That's a wasted Exorcism. And now immediately Kinguin smokes up and they will probably go top. Like, it's just perfectly played by Kinguin.
Well, yeah, we've seen that from some of the Tusks. They sort of have these bottleneck points just down to a T. They know exactly where to throw the shards. Any sort of stairs on the map, they'll get it perfectly blocked off. And Katso showing us that he is one that he's done his homework. He knows how to block those routes.
That is the downside of making smoke ganks at nighttime. Your smoke will pop, but not before you get into vision range of people. And TP away.
Bottom lane, Ninja Boogie jabs, and i-Sice ready to make it go onto this Abad, and he does have borrowed time here. So there will be a second chance for Pados. We'll see Mineski still continue to dive though. TPs are going to come in. Kinguin, they've sent Katso forward, but Mineski, they have 5 heroes chasing down this Abad, and they're committing heavy to this one, and they should get Katso as well as Moon finds him in the tree line. A little unnecessary for the Tusk to TP in there as the 5 heroes clean him up. At the same time though, Kinguin, they are getting away with the push up on the top lane. They've found the tier 1 tower. With the Elder Dragon form, they'll move on to the tier 2 as well. Mineski will be able to look for the trade with their full lineup down bottom. They are putting the pressure onto this tier 2 down on the bottom, so it should be a 1-for-1. It's going to go a little quicker down though on this bottom half, so Mineski, are they able to defend top? No, it's too fast, yeah, with a Hellbear. Smash that attack speed aura and such adding up with the Lycan DK push. So tier 2 for tier 2 trade. The trades continue. Mineski are still maintaining this 4K lead. But Kinguin's certainly finding stuff across the map.
It's a good trade for Mineski because they were able to get that tower trade when they didn't even have their ultimate, Exorcism being down. And you're trading against a team that pushes better, and you're still keeping even though they push better. So I think Mineski is just getting a little bit more out of the map. So I know that we have a new patch, and one of the things that we've gotten in the new patch is that Roshan now has a status resistant. Yeah. Which is going to be important for Medallion of Courage. You now can no longer keep Medallion on him permanently. Because Medallion, how he used to work is that it's a 7-second cooldown, it's a 7-second debuff. But now the 25% status resistance means you can't perma Medallion him, which means it matters for every single game. Because every single game you Medallion take Roche. And I do wonder who's going to be buying the Medallion for either team this game.
Yeah, with the Exorcism, certainly it's still very strong for Mineski's lineup, and same to be said for that of Kinguin's, but Mineski ready to go up to the top lane. They've got their eyes onto Katso. Katso does have the high ground, so well aware of this movement straight towards him. He's looking to get himself back. Pados heads in, but the 2-man silence from Mushi, meaning that the Abaddon can't throw much in at all to help out Katso, and Kinguin have to bail on him. They let the Tusk go down. Again, this is Exorcism committed. Roshan is there, though, and Mineski, it looks like they may just try and get the use of the Exorcism out by taking down Roshan. We'll see if Kinguin want to contest this.
They will, because I think they're going to wait till the Exorcism run low and then take a fight before Roshan goes down. But here's the tough thing. They're fighting into Ravage. I'm not sure if they have the tools. They don't have the BKB on their cores yet. They're really relying on this Abaddon to purge people off.
I mean, he's going in. Patos just runs in straight away. Nisha on the sidelines. They've got the Fiend's Grip onto Mushi. They're going straight away onto the Death Prod, but there's the Ravage coming out onto 4. The Bane's already fallen down. Moon, he's out to the sideline. Nisha turning towards i-Sice. Exotic Deer gets the shapeshift down in time. Goes back in onto Jabs on the backline, but they just can't get the damage out, Kinguin. They have to run away. Nisha and Pados getting split apart. They've got the silence on the Abandon. Good sharp block from Katso, will mean that Pados gets himself back to safety. They're even thinking about trying to turn. They look towards Jabs. Can't quite close the gap there with the snowball. So Jabs will be fine to run himself back up to the high ground, back to safety. Roshan is still up. So Kinguin will continue to try and hold on to this. And as bad as that looked in terms of getting caught out by the Ravage, they did manage to keep the majority of their team alive, and they did stop Mineski from getting the Roshan. So not a big disaster at all for Kinguin.
That was great for Kinguin.
Yeah.
I think they lost 1 hero throughout all of that. And that was fighting into Exorcism, into Ravage. And you prevented the most important thing. Like
they only lost the Bane. Yeah. I mean, it's Katso again. Again, these shards just blocking off entire routes.
Yes.
Making it very hard for Mineski to play around. And what do you do about that? I guess 4 stars down the line is an answer. But the Tusk play has been very impressive.
Had Mushi didn't use his Ravage at the beginning of the fight, like if he held it the middle of the Roche. Sorry, sorry, what I meant was if the Exorcism was not used so early, because they use it and they're like, oh, we have to do something with it, let's walk into Roche, right? If they just walked into Roche, they would have actually had a much better chance, because the Exorcism just ran out in the middle of the fight. So
now, the thing is, though, I mean, Kinguin is still hovering around the pit. They are going to look to try and take it themselves. They don't... Neither team really takes it that fast.
I mean, Lycan does.
I guess, yeah, it's faster than even with the Exorcism. Yeah. But, I mean, there's still time for Mineski to definitely have a look.
But they don't have Ravage. They don't have...
It's hard, that's for sure. Let's see if they're able to do it. Snowball's already onto Ninja Boogie. The Roshan's down. Aegis has not been picked up. Who's going to grab it? Nisha will manage to find it. Pados keeping himself out after the borrowed time. They've taken down Mushi. Kinguin looking for more. Turning their attention towards Ninja Boogie. The Aphotic Shield from Katsu comes out. Katsu will go down. Jabs falls though. Exotic Deer with a double kill. Turning their attention now towards Ice Ice Ice. Exotic Deer shape-shifted. They've got the Dragon Tail Stone onto Ice Ice Ice. He's able to crack and shell it off. Turning back towards Alicia with the Anchor Smash. But the Aphotic Shield's out from Pados. The Miscoil as well, keeping this Bane alive as Exotic Deer and Elise has chased down Ice Ice Ice. They've taken down 3. The Chakram comes through from the Timber Chain, but again, the Miscoil from Pados, keeping his teammates alive. Moon has to get out as he's out of mana. As Kinguin taking Roshan, Mineski unable to fully put a stop to it. And Kinguin certainly closing this lead that Mineski did have with these sort of plays, getting these kills, and showing some very impressive teamwork and coordination as they keep one another alive. And as you said, without the Ravage, I believe the Exorcism did come out then, but again, they just focused Mushi. They took him out at the start of the fight, and suddenly without those 2 team fight ultimates being there for Mineski, the fight gets so much harder for them.
I mean, that is the fear that the panel talked about. You have very long cooldowns. Smart teams will take advantage of it, and that's exactly what we saw Kinguin did.
Katsu. Bottom lane, buying time with the snow, but in fact, Mushi, he's quite far out on his own. Elise is there with the Nightmare, doesn't quite have Fiend's Grip back up, so they'll even be. Elise and the boys backing up. Nisha, though, he wants to get involved and get some vision in terms of scouting out this area with his Shadow Blade, see what he can find. Ninja Boogie's there. So is Moon, Jabs, and Ice Ice Ice. This is someone that Kinguin had to be very careful about taking the fight. They do, of course, have the Aegis on the DK. At least as she looks for the Fiend's Grip onto Mushi. He's got the setup for the Snowball. They close the gap. Kinguin, can they kill Mushi in time? Warrior's Punch. They have the Necro Army out. Mushi tries to... There's the Ravage from Ice Ice Ice. Can they keep the team alive? They can't. They've lost the Bane. Silence comes down onto 2. This Lycan falling very low. He can't get out of their Moon with the double kill. Pados trying to turn towards Jabs. Takes down the Rubik. But Kinguin, they've got to back up. Nisha, he's falling low. The Aegis almost certainly going to pop once. Can Pados and Katsu do anything to get him out? We need some godly shards here from Katsu. He's going to try his best. Out they come, but they're not going to block off the team at all. Doesn't matter, though, by the looks of it, because Mineski, they don't have detection. Nisha just able to Shadow Blade himself out of there. TP is attempted by the Tusk. Katsu not going to be able to get out in time as the damage is too much. But they do keep Nisha alive as he is able to walk out of that. But this is always going to be the problem. When that Ravage is there, it's very hard for them to make a play. The Ravage, despite any way that the Abaddon can look to try and counterplay, is always going to buy time for Moon to set up the perfect combo on the Timbersaw and get a lot of damage out in these team fights.
Well, I think they win that team fight because Mushi played it exceptionally. So
the silences,
yeah. Basically, he silenced Abaddon after he used his ultimate, before he could shield anybody off. So yes, you can use your ultimate and get the stun off of yourself. But it doesn't matter because the rest of your team is still stunned, and that's exactly what happened. Very good key silence on point.
Oh, look at this though, Nisha. He's found Mushi just outside of the tower range. They send in the Centaur. They've got the perma-stun holding him in place. They take down Mushi. See if they can find anything more. Ninja Boogie has got eyes on Lisash from the Invis. The push is coming in, and it's a push that we talked about being incredibly strong from Kinguin's lineup. No Mushi for 45 seconds for this hold, so Kinguin will at least get the tier 1 tower. We'll see if they want to try and push on for a second one.
Oh yeah, I mean, 36 seconds without DP, right?
Yeah.
This is the part
and
of the
Ravage.
Game. Yeah, this is the part of the game where they're like, look, you use your ultimates, we're going to just fight into you regardless.
It's going to try and hold for the defense. They go in with the silence onto the Lycan, backing up already. The Chakram comes down onto 3 Moons, surrounding Pados. Pados pops the borrowed time, buying time for his team to get out. But Elisash, he turns. He has the Fiend's Grip. It does get cancelled straight away. They manage to hold this fort as they're looking to this DK, but again, the Shadow Blade from Nisha gets him down to the side, does get caught out by the dust. Moon cuts his way for the tree line. They have found the Dragon. Oh, have they? No, the dust is going to wear out. He gets himself out of range of Sentry, and they don't have any further vision. He goes for the TP, but they do find him with the Void for the Night Stalker. They have that high ground ward. being able to spot Nisha in the tree line. So Nisha will still go down despite its best attempts to duke out of the range of Mineski's detection.
Yeah, no, the dust didn't wear out. They actually put a photic shield on him, which purged off the dust. So he was able to keep running. They dropped the sentry. He ran out of that. But unfortunately, I think the Shadow Blade ended at that point. So.
It did, yeah. It was getting close, so he had to go for that TP play. But, yeah, the high ground ward, which was pinged out immediately, of course, as Kinguin will at least know that that ward does stand there.
We're seeing some like really high caliber plays where both teams are looking to punish each other very hard at each other's moments of weaknesses. And we
are certainly seeing what was sort of talked about as well earlier, the fact that Moon is playing against these full strength heroes. He does a lot of damage in these fights. This Timbersaw can be absolutely enabled to go ham with the setup, the control from the stuns and silences from his teammates.
And look at the way that he's building, right? He's going to get a Crimson Guard next, so you can't really ignore him because he does a ton of damage, but you can't really kill him either because he's so tanky, and he's going to protect his teammates. And of course, something that we saw out of Team Liquid yesterday is that one thing that the more experienced team are better at doing is just keeping up a net worth lead. They're just better at stacking, being more efficient at farming. Look at the net worth. Like, the kill is very close. The tower count is very close. But Mineski is a team that's able to get more out of the map, despite the fact that Kinguin, I think, was able to last at the Roshan earlier.
We'll see what the next play is for Mineski. Maybe talking about the Roche, they may just look to try and wait for it. And we'll realize that they do have this lead at the moment. Still quite a bit of time until the Roche is back there. Gems being picked up for both sides, in fact, as they'll look to try and maintain map control. Scan from Mineski catches out Kinguin inside Kinguin's own jungle, so Mineski know they're pretty safe to keep themselves split up as they are, with Moon pushing out top lane, Ice down bottom, whilst the rest of the other three stick around the mid lane.
Here's the thing, despite Mineski having a 6k lead, I don't think they could really just sit pretty, because once the double BKB comes out from the Dragon Knight and the Lycan, I think that's where Kinguin is going to just be much, much stronger than Mineski. Then Mineski at that point on needs to like just wait for the BKBs to just scale down. And that means they will lose teamfight for the next, 10 to 15 minutes. So this 6k lead, they need to ride it out for a while. They need to get whatever they can before those BKBs
Katzor down bottom, not going to get himself out as the Yule Scepter's there to cancel the TP. He's got the snowball and does have the shards trying to slow down Mineski on this chase, but Jabs will be there, closing the gap with the telekinesis and cutting Katzor down. Ice gets the kill, and Mineski now in position to shove this bottom lane out.
That is a Yule's on a Rubik. That is a farm Rubik.
We'll see what the play is now for Kinguin. At the least, it'll almost certainly just be wait until they have the full 5-man before they try and tackle Mineski.
Yeah, Mineski going to just go hard for this one push and see if they could get a Rax, because they know the BKB timing is going to be rough for them in the next couple of minutes.
I mean, Moon coming in from the sidelines. Moon still yet to have died this game. He's 606 on the Timbersaw. Pretty indestructible. Just look at the burst damage that he can nail down onto the Abaddon, keeping Pados at bay. They'll pop the fortification, Kinguin, but Mineski knocking on the doors, taking this tier 3 tower from right underneath the noses of Kinguin. Katzor is back
up. They just can't stop the Timbersaw. Look at him. He's just sitting in front.
He's just absolutely sitting there. There's a Walrus Punch coming through. It does hardly any damage at all. He's just got too much armor with the reactive armor stacks building up. There's going to be a snowball attempted for by Katzor as he goes straight in onto Ice, but he's got to get himself surely back out. Ravage comes through onto 4 heroes as they lose Katzor. Nisha taken down as well. Exotic Deers trying to get to the backlines, but Jabs with the self-heals keeps him safe from the Necro army. And they just can't take the fights against Mineski when they do have the Ravage there. Just the Ravage and the damage this Timbersaw pick is going absolutely crazy this game.
Well, Ravage is down now, no exorcism, so they right-click the buildings. They will actually take it down eventually because you're down 2 heroes.
Yeah.
And again, they just don't have an answer for this
Moon,
Timbersaw.
He can just dive near the towers. He's got all the armor in the world. The Bloodstone charge is starting to add up. They just can't deal with the Timber.
Yeah.
It's pretty impossible.
That's going to be the 1 Rax. All right, we really need to check the BKB timings now on the Radiant cores. How close are they?
Right on the Lycan, he was trying to build towards the AC. He's okay now. He has changed it up. Yeah, queuing up the BKB and Nisha as well. Still a little while off it.
They're both about 2K away. And the Radiance on Abaddon is, I think, about 1 to 2K away as well. Once they have those trifecta of the double PKB and the Radiance, actually the Radiance is very far away.
It's about 3K now, yeah.
Then I think that's where Kinguin will be stronger than Mineski, but how much damage would they have sustained by then? That's going to be the ultimate question. Yeah,
Mineski's doing a good job of stepping the pressure up, and 27 minutes being able to take that bottom racks. Looking back towards Roshan now as his backup. Exotic Deer does find a DD rune. And as you say, again, it's this timing. There's no Ravage. They are going to try for it. Moon is there, though. Can they stop this Timbersaw being too much of a nuisance? That's the question, because we know that Moon can just sort of go in and out of the pit without any fear in the world. And now with the Exorcism, they're ready to move. Silencing straight away. Pados able to remove it. Gets the heal out onto the DK. You have the Wolf, Exotic Deer, just running himself out of this one. Pados is going to be focused. Post-borrow time. Mineski are able to take him down. He's gone for 50 seconds. Mineski themselves moving into the pit with the remainder of the Exorcism. And I think Kinguin are just going to have to let this Roche go. I don't know how they can get involved in this pit at all. They've got the sidelines being watched by Katsu and Alisa, but no real way of jumping into the pit. Mineski able to grab the Aegis, get it onto Moon. I mean, if they weren't having trouble already of trying to kill this Timber once, now they've got to try and do it twice. Moon, 17,500 net worth. And a completed Assault Cuirass on him as well, so just adding to the pushing potential and that defensive potential of himself as he sits on around the 50 armor mark once he's got this reactive armor stacks building up.
It is ironic that Timber is the one that got the Aegis, because honestly he doesn't need it. But at the same time, if you look at the heroes in this game, none of them are really good Aegis holders, right? Like for Radiant, Lycan, Dragon Knight, they're pretty awkward with the way that their ultimates function.
Yeah, they're both these sort of morphing carries.
Yeah, I mean, same thing with DP and Tai, where those heroes don't really need or want Aegis. So they give the cheese to Mushi, and now Moon really, Moon could just walk into the tier 4s and have no care in the world.
I mean, Mineski could have probably denied the Aegis at this stage and still been pretty confident, as I think just as we're seeing, just the hero, the draft that Mineski have is, it feels like it is literally impossible for Kinguin's heroes to deal with at this stage. It's
at this point, because they've just taken advantage of the timing so well. Yeah. And now with the new patch, the towers break down ever so slowly.
Look at that. Attention to detail.
Yeah.
Very, very pretty. Oh, yeah, I mean, as we said, Kinguin definitely, they had a plan this game, and it just didn't come to fruition quick enough. They couldn't quite get the ball rolling as early as they needed to. And I mean, as you mentioned earlier on, they were taking towers, but so were Mineski. They were never sort of playing the game at the tempo that needed to be a little ahead of Mineski's lineup. Mineski were able to keep up and now very much keep themselves ahead, as 30 minutes in, they're looking to push in onto this second set of racks. See if Kinguin can do anything to stop this. Exorcism's out from Mushi. Pados on the side being forced back by Moon. As Mineski just far too strong at this stage for sure. And I mean, Nisha and Exotic Deer, they're going to give it a go. They're heading in with the ultimates. They're looking towards Mushi, popping the BKBs. This is the BKB fight you talked about, Lumi. Let's see if it's enough. Straight in onto Mushi, knocking him up into the air, but the armor is too high, and indeed he does still have that cheese ready to pop. Just keeping himself alive for now with the Yule Scepter. There's the Ravage coming through from Ice, catches out all three. The BKBs have worn off. Exotic Deer to fall down for 55 seconds. Pados is down as well, and GG is indeed called as Kinguin forced to tap out of this game one. As Mineski showing up in real style. They had this draft, Moon ending godlike. I mean, the Timbersaw, it really was. That final pick Timbersaw was just so perfect for Mineski's lineup because there was just no way for Kinguin to deal with it.
So the only way for them to actually have an answer for the Timber is getting the Silver Edge upgrade. But Dragon Knight was so pressured to finish this BKB that he never had time to do it. So I think the only person that I have gripes with in that game is Abaddon, right? He worked towards the Radiance, which I kind of said, oh yeah, it's going to be a big timing. But apart from his spell usage, it felt like there was no core Abaddon in that game, right?
Yeah, it didn't have, I mean, we saw the way he was able to keep his teammates alive.
Sort of, sometimes, if he wasn't silenced. Yeah. So I wonder if there are some items that he could have gotten that would have made a bigger impact. I felt like there was very little impact from that Abaddon in that game.
I think it was a very hard game nonetheless. And I'm sure we'll probably see in game 2 a very different style of draft, I would imagine. From Kinguin, if Mineski do something similar like this again, with the sort of the Mushi DP as well, and the Ice Tidehunter. I mean, we saw It was picked up, I believe, third pick by Mineski, or third or fourth. And Kinguin, they did have the chance to react, and they did decide to do so with the Abaddon. But it almost looked like Mineski, they were ready for that sort of counter pick in a sense, because they had that combo, as you say. Each time the stun came out, Mushi was there with the silence. And the combination of the silence and the stun made it very hard for the Abaddon to save his teammates.
I think both teams play well, but the last pick Timbersaw was what gave ultimately the very easy victory to Mineski. So, well played.
I think no doubt about that. Very impressive stuff from Moon. Mineski as a whole. We'll see if Kinguin are able to step it up in game 2. But for now, we'll pass you back to the panel as Kinguin dropping game 1, Mineski leading the series 1-0.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lumi and ODPixel. Indeed, Mineski is a 1-up in the series here for Group B against Kinguin. And here again with Pyrian Flax and Capitalist. Now, this game after the draft, we already kind of knew that Mineski was having the upper hand. That the Timbersaw pick just being really, really smart. Cap, what do you think how the game played out?
Unlosable.
Unlosable.
Unlosable game for a Timbersaw. I think. Yeah, that was, like, when I saw it, I liked it instantly. And then as we're walking back and I look at the lanes, it was like the more and more I liked it. I mean, let's list all the things that makes this a good Timbersaw game. Easy one. 3 strength heroes. 3 melee heroes. No magic damage. Little control. Stands in front of pushes really well. Has, there were literally only 2 potential bad things in the whole entire game, which is Bean's Grip is kind of annoying. And
if someone gets a Silver Edge, I guess.
Silver Edge, a Silver Edge buyer is like the only thing. But here's the thing: is like Silver Edge does not counter Timbersaw. If you have a good game for 25 minutes as in Timbersaw, you can compensate for a Silver Edge really easily.
You'll get a Yules and stuff like that. And exactly.
You could get an armor item. You can get like Lotus Orb or a Shiva's or something to make up for that.
And also, that's a long way down the road. Like you don't want to have to go. Let's say you're DK. You don't want to have to go first item Silver Edge because I think you need more. And you saw in this game, like, every time Tidehunter's ult was up, it's like, well, we actually need to fight, so we're going to have to fight. So they had to get BKBs, but then you saw the Tide just waiting. Oh, BKZB down in a second, then bam, team fight 1. It's just, they just couldn't do enough to the heroes that they needed to.
Yeah, they had to, like, pull their supports, like, away from the Lycan. The Lycan ends up dying a lot because they pick up Gush and they roam on the Night Stalker.
It was
they
brutal.
kill the Lycan because the supports have to deal with mid. They have to somehow deal with the Timbersaw early. Like, you have to shut him down somehow because you know he's going to go off later. It was a really rough game, and I think Mineski just won straight up through draft. I even think Kinguin made this closer than it should have been. To be
there
honest.
was one fight in particular where I was like, wow, they're actually going to contest this Roche, and they did, and they actually did pretty well. I mean, they actually did. They lost one dude.
I was going to say,
Roche.
Your version of did do very well was they didn't all die.
They didn't all die. That's exactly it. They did well. I mean, that's much better than I thought it would be. I was like, there's no way they go in here. They spoke. They're like, guys, just follow me up the beach, and we'll meet you. Just stay out of the murder holes. You know, it was like some proper Omaha stuff. They made it out. They lost one man. It was a great ice shards, I think, from the Tusk to stop them all dying. But then the Roche went down anyway. But yeah, it was one of those games. You get timbered. Sometimes you get timbered.
It's you can always tell, like, a very clear outdraft when a team is playing with desperation. That's the way I would describe Kinguin playing out that game. They had to rush the Roshan with the Exorcism up, as well as the Ravage, right? They end up losing one hero. Then they have to go back into the Roshan pit because they can't let Mineski take it, right? So they have to go and do it because they're like, Ravage is down. Exorcism may be up. We may not have, like an ult, or, like, there were certain things that was, like,
maybe
just bad
it will work out.
They had to do it. It wasn't comfortable to make that play. And yes, in the end, they did manage to get Roshan and Aegis. They tried that the second time, failed miserably. It's just like, that was not comfortable for them to make that play, but it was the only play that they had.
Very tough game.
Yeah.
Was there any chance that they could have done better in the lanes? Because that's already, like, during the laning stage was already the period where Kinguin was kind of losing and missing out.
Maybe if they aggro-tried into the Timbersaw immediately, there were small things. like, I don't want to harp on it too much, but I think Patos' build was wrong for the Abaddon.
Okay.
I think you go max miscoil. You don't go your passive against this Timber Saw. You need the extra magic damage in that situation. And it's not like the passive does you any good against the Timber Saw anyway. The Lycan dying was bad, but the hell are you gonna do? It's the
there were a couple of misplays you pointed out as well on that, but nothing like that you'd say, well, that was what lost them the game.
Yeah.
Like the whole time we're watching, we're just sort of like, this is probably over. After
Impending doom.
Yeah, it's like this is gonna happen. So it was unfortunate for Kinguin, but let's
like
look at some
how
stats.
can you really blame the team when they're like the win is so hard for them?
Yeah, it's like super hard.
They also we mentioned beforehand that Kinguin is a team that likes to team fight and is actually good at team fighting. They didn't really have a team that they could do that with, or at least the team fight of Mineski was a lot stronger than the team fight of Kinguin. Even if you just, take away the team names, you look at the drafts just purely, then in terms of play style, it's not really their play style, the heroes that they chose.
I think Kinguin's lineup is fine. I was like going back through the draft in my head. I think not banning the Tidehunter is a really bad idea because when you already have the Lycan, you naturally want to ban Tide in some ways. You already have like this lineup that's supposed to be kind of like push into towers. Tide's really good at standing in front of towers to protect them. So those are two incentives. But then the other one is that the Tide in turn forced them to pick Abaddon because they wanted some sort of counter to the Ravage, which in turn allows a last pick Timber Saw to look really good. They didn't draft against the Tide even after it was picked, right? Because they picked up Tusk after the Tidehunter.
Yes.
Right? I almost would have preferred a Disruptor. Like a Bane Disruptor duo sounds really bad, but it would have been much better for being able to like, just control and make sure that we don't have a superior team fight from Mineski.
Well, I think the silence would have helped a lot actually in those team fights. But
908 for a Nana Moon.
30,000 hero damage. It's like Cap said. It's like it's an unlosable game. Is how you put it. It's an unlosable game as Timber because you're literally unscared. There's nothing to scare you at all. You're not like, oh, I better stay away from so. No, it's literally just run at them. They can't touch you, especially once you got levels and farm. It's like untouchable.
Yeah, when you ask like 10 different players of like different roles, like what hero do you want to play in this game, right? I bet all of them would be like Timber Saw.
Well, this is a great
Timber Saw.
Yeah,
like, I'm not a Timber Saw player. Play Timber Saw.
Give me Timber.
Like those kind of people are going to be like, I play the hard fight position. I want to play Timber Saw.
Yeah, give me Timber. Yeah.
It's so that was just really good drafting.
How much do you think that a team like Kinguin may be coming into this game were like, not necessarily playing to their strengths, but sort of thinking, right, what are the heroes? What should we pick here? What's everyone else picking? Maybe we should pick Lycan. Everybody's picking Lycan. We should pick Lycan. We should pick DK rather than what they really. I mean, I bet if you said to them, "What's your best 5?" Just pick that. I wonder if they could do that instead of trying this, which clearly they hadn't properly planned it out because the Timber surprised the hell out of them.
Yeah, I mean, I still think this lineup is like okay for Kinguin's style. I think it's still fine for them. They did not anticipate Mineski's draft.
That's a big error, though, isn't
it?
Yeah.
And maybe that's where the inexperience comes in a little bit, but.
Well, Mineski also has an extra difficulty where, we were thinking that Mushi's hero was going to get picked last because we were thinking Moon or Nana was going to be on the Death Prophet, which is normally his style, but Mineski has this 1-2 role that they can just swap about. They can put Mushi on mid, they can put Nana on mid, it doesn't really matter. So they could pick up that Timber Saw, even though it's not really your typical Mushi hero. But that's because they secretly weren't looking for the Mushi hero in hindsight. So they got an extra difficulty to keep in mind when you're Kinguin indeed. But looking for game 2, I think Kinguin are happy that this played out this way, because if there's a game that no, that's not.
I'm hearing you out,
If there is a game that you're gonna lose, I think the best type of games that you lose are where you actually can say, you know what, this is why we lost, and we can fix that for game 2.
Okay.
Easy.
I will follow that up to say that I still have a lot of faith in Kinguin for this series, despite being 1 down, simply because it was an outdraft, and I did feel like they actually played better than their lineup would allow them to. So
yeah, you were surprised sometimes that they didn't all just instantly die in these fights.
The fact that
they actually did pretty well. Only 3 of them died.
They made tough team decisions. Like going into that Roshan pit, taking that first Roshan, like that's a tough call.
At least they stick together, right? Yeah, at least they did it together. Yeah,
it was all very smart. So I still have a lot of faith in Kinguin here, but they could just as easily get outdrafted.
So you think it was are we happy to say as a group that it was an error of drafting, not of execution? Do you think that's a fair way to say it?
Yes.
I would think so. Yeah.
Because any call that you can make on execution is naturally influenced by a complete outdraft.
Yeah, you're potentially hamstrung massively by being
you're
outdrafted.
like, there's like so many.
They did as well as they could.
You feel so desperate, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna make mistakes naturally. Like, is a miscoil build gonna change anything about the Timbersaw
Probably
destroying
not.
you?
Yeah, that's
Absolutely
probably not.
not. You know, like those sort of things are just